Chapter 16 Tranquility. Sometime between the September blessing from Kathy and Christmas of 1994, my wife and I were invited to a friend's home for a chat. I needed to transact some business in Salt Lake, so we went downtown before heading over for our visit. With my business transaction completed, my wife asked if we could stop along the way so she could use a restroom. I spotted a McDonald's just ahead and we pulled in, parking so that we were about 30 feet from the front door. Before I could get out and open the door for my wife, she was in the parking lot and I was trailing several yards behind her. Her brisk walk left me still 20 feet behind her when she went through the front door. As I tried to close the distance between us, I noticed a man approaching from my left. His hair was a bit unkempt and his clothes looked rather drab, but he had a smile on his face which had a calming, reassuring sparkle to it. The closer I got to the door, the closer he got as well. He reached the opening before I did and then stopped between me and the door. A bit startled, I looked up and waited for him to speak. He then looked me right in the eyes and said, "Could you spare some money for me and a friend?" I replied that I would be happy to buy them a meal, but he declined my offer. I then again invited him to come in with me and I would feed him and his friend. To this he simply said, "No, they will not let me in there dressed like this. I just need the money." I have had this type of experience happen many times, but something seemed different here. As I reached for my wallet, I began to get that feeling I had not had since my father came just before my church disciplinary court. It was that warmth that I had felt many times but had never experienced in the flesh. This was new, and I knew that he was feeling the same thing I was. In fact, I knew that he was creating this warmth. I immediately looked back into his eyes and a wide smile grew on his face. He knew what I was feeling was his own distinct energy of love, and then he let it flow over me, as he had so many times during the 5 months we conversed on a daily basis. I was spellbound by the reality of what I knew was happening. He still smiled as I tried to get some money out of my wallet and handed it to him. I had prayed for this moment all my life, and now I couldn't believe it was happening. With tears welling up in my eyes, I lunged forward and wrapped my arms around him. He then put his arms around me, and with our heads on each other's shoulders, we both started to cry. His energy was like a cleansing fire. I was completely accepted. He saw me for who I was on the inside, and more than ever in my life, I wanted to be just like him. We stayed in this position for some time, and then he grabbed my shoulders and pulled me back so that I was at arm's distance from him. Still holding my shoulders, he said, "I shall never forget you, and you will never forget this moment. I love you." He then turned and began walking away. I said, "Wait, I would like you to meet my wife." I turned and went inside, spotting my wife just coming out of the restroom. I grabbed her hand and raced back to the door, telling her there was someone that I had just bumped into who I wanted her to meet. It couldn't have taken me more than 20 seconds to get my wife and return, but he was gone. The parking lot had no cars in it, and I could see 70 yards, but there was no one around. We walked around the building, but he had left us as quickly as he had come. I asked my wife if she had seen the man that was right behind her when she went into McDonald's, but she said she had not. In fact, she didn't remember seeing anyone in the parking lot when she went in. I was dumbfounded. My mind raced around the experience for some time, and I wondered when there would be more. Actually, it didn't matter if there was. I was happy to have met an old familiar friend again.